Hi there, I'm Lucy Whitaker. I'm a specialist motoring solicitor, and this short video is about dangerous driving. Now, dangerous driving is a far more serious offence than careless driving or driving without due care and attention. You are said to be driving dangerously if the way you've driven falls far below that of a careful and competent driver, and if it would be obvious to a competent, careful driver that driving in that way would be dangerous. From the definition, you can see that it's not important whether you thought you were driving dangerously. It's a question of whether an independent bystander would consider your driving to be dangerous. It is irrelevant whether you are a particularly skilled driver or if you are an inexperienced driver as to whether driving should be regarded dangerously. At this stage, I would also mention that there is another way to be convicted of dangerous driving, and it is less common. That is, if it would be obvious to a careful and competent driver that driving the vehicle in its current state would be dangerous. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but that clearly covers situations where a vehicle has a dangerous defect or presents a hazard to other road users. Going back to the more common situation where it is the driving itself that is dangerous, you should note that speed in itself will not automatically be dangerous. Therefore, you should not be convicted of dangerous driving merely because of your speed. However, if there are other factors such as the other road users around, poor weather conditions or other circumstances, it could meet the thresholds for dangerous driving. Dangerous driving is not generally an appropriate charge if you have simply made a mistake when driving. If it's the type of mistake that any driver may make from time to time, it would be more appropriate in those circumstances to consider a careless driving charge, if anything. And there's a separate video on careless driving for anyone who needs more information on that. You will usually, but not always, be interviewed under caution before a decision is made about whether to charge you. I can only urge you in the strongest possible terms to seek legal advice before being interviewed. What you say or do not say in that interview will become evidence in any subsequent trial and can make the difference between a conviction and an acquittal. Dangerous driving is a very serious offence which can be dealt with in either the Magistrates' Court or the Crown Court. The maximum penalty is up to 2 years in prison, together with a minimum 1 year driving disqualification, and also the requirement to undertake a retest. There are no set criteria for what will amount to dangerous driving. However, from reported cases, we know that the following are likely to result in a charge of dangerous driving. So any sort of aggressive driving, such as sudden lane changes, or cutting into a line of vehicles, or racing, competitive driving, that sort of thing. Disregarding traffic lights that appears to be deliberate, driving using a mobile phone when you're obviously distracted by using it, and driving when you're too tired to stay awake, or you've got impaired ability if you had impaired eyesight or something like that. It's important to note that those examples it's not a formula, and some of those examples could still be charged as careless, but they do give helpful examples. And although dangerous driving may be dealt with in either the Magistrates' or Crown Courts, the first hearing will always be in the Magistrates' Court. If you plead not guilty and the matter goes to trial, the magistrates, in the case of a Magistrates' Court, or the jury in a Crown Court, has 3 possible options. They could find you guilty of the dangerous driving charge. They could find you not guilty of dangerous driving but guilty of the lesser charge of careless driving, or they could find you not guilty of anything. So if you're found not guilty of dangerous driving but guilty of careless driving, the penalty will be significantly less than if you had been convicted of the more serious offence of dangerous driving. The maximum penalty for careless driving is a fine and a ban. For these reasons, if you're facing a charge of dangerous driving, I strongly advise you to get some specialist help at an early stage. And if you do want further advice, please do contact me using the details on the screen. Thank you for watching.